when the Messiah comes. We are concluding the holiday of Passover 5769, and this year we initiated the Passover holiday with public gatherings sanctifying God's name in what is called the Birkat HaChama, the blessing for the sun. There's a reason why we say the blessing over the sun. One of them is to acknowledge that the most powerful influence in our physical world is created by God, and that God makes it go in a cycle. And that in this cycle we can see that every 28 years it comes back to its original place in the sky. The idea behind it is as follows. Forget about the calculations, forget about all of the details. The question that one should ask is, it says that God made light on the first day. And it was day and it was night, or it was night and it was day, one day. But there was light at one end of the earth, and the other end of the earth had night. First, the light set, the light was on and it set, and it became dark, and then there was morning. And so God made a 12-hour period of darkness and a 12-hour period of light, and God created that light on the first day. So if God created light on the first day, what's the necessity of making a sun? So for that you have to look into the commentaries. Commentaries tell us as follows, that the light that God presented to the world in the first 3 days of creation was a light that one could use to see from one end of the world to the other. And it wasn't appropriate that man, who was going to be immoral, was to utilize this light, because this light was too powerful a tool and could be misused. And so what did God do? God concealed this light in the Torah and then gave us the planets and the stars and the sun and the moon. There's a reason for this particular order. For you see, Kabbalistically, the first day represents God's kindness, which is chesed, which is giving, which represents light, which gives, which starts from one place and extends everywhere. And God's light extends everywhere. It's an infinite light. That's kindness. But the problem is that God foresaw that we were not ready to receive that light. And therefore, why were we not ready? Because that kind of light creates too many problems. Number one, when you see that light and you utilize that light, you can misuse it, and you can think that the light was always there, because you don't see the source of the light. The light is just shining. And so, in order that we recognize that there was an original source that made this light, you had to have a luminous body from where the light would be emanated, and you could actually see that the light is coming from that source. And from there we learn that everything else comes from a source. That just as the light of the sun came from an original source, so too everything else must come from an original source, and we come to the conclusion that that's God. So that when the Messiah comes, and the Messiah will teach us the wisdom of God, which is found in the Torah, we will then be able to have the light that was at the beginning of creation. And we'll be able to see from one end of the world to the other. We'll be able to use that light to heal people. We'll be able to use that light to illuminate our minds so that we can see the greatest and solve the greatest mysteries. and understand the greatest of all mysteries, which is God. And so the light that's going to be visible is a light that will shine everything for us, cure us, help us, and most of all, reveal God to us. But that's only when the Messiah comes, after we've learned the lesson that things come from a source. While we're on that topic, I have to say this for my friends out there. The purpose of the Messiah is to restore the Davidic dynasty and to get all the people of Israel to follow the commandments of the Torah, and by corollary, to get all of the world to follow the Noahide code, which essentially is the basic morality of all of mankind. And Jesus of Nazareth never fulfilled any of those things. He never got the Jews to do the mitzvahs. On the contrary, Saul said the mitzvahs are no longer applicable. Furthermore, the purpose of the Messiah is to gather all of Israel together and rebuild the temple in Jerusalem. The temple was never built in Jerusalem. The purpose of the Messiah is to teach the people the knowledge of God. And don't tell me that you know that Jesus is God, whatever. That's not knowledge of God. Knowledge of God is a wisdom that you can see and sense in every phase of existence, how everything is coming from God. Ki pi Hashem diber, the word of God is what causes all of existence to be. Jesus never did that. Neither did any of his students. Never taught anyone to prophesy, never taught anyone how to be one with God, except for the Baal Shem Tov and all of his students, known as the Hasidic masters. That'll leave you with the promise. When the Messiah comes, we won't need the sun to shine. There won't be any problems with global warming. I promise.